Despite Wes Anderson's works existing solely in the realm of film, his movies often begin, ironically enough, with a book. Books often serve as the narrative framing device for his movies, as is the case with The Royal Tenenbaums, The Grand Budapest Hotel, and The Fantastic Mr. Fox. These films begin with the camera having an overview shot of a book with the movie's title on it. As the book opens, the film begins. This inherent connection between Anderson and literature goes far beyond just merely setting up his films, however. Anderson can often be critiqued as mainly a visual director who lacks substance, and I think literature can serve as the key to getting a deeper sense of Anderson's characters and plots. We can see this vividly with Wes Anderson's connection with novelist J.D. Salinger. Anderson has long cited Salinger as one of his biggest influencers, and the similarities between their works are abundantly clear. Nowhere is this relationship more substantial than with Salinger's novel Franny and Zoe and Anderson's The Royal Tenenbaums. The two works both focus on eccentric rich families who struggle with coping with adulthood and the harsh realities of life. By analyzing the similarities between the two stories, it offers a tantalizing proposition. We are finally able to apply a visual language to Salinger's novels, something that has never really been done before, as Salinger famously detested film adaptations of his works. Manifestations of Salinger's themes and characters can finally be transferred to a new medium. Franny and Zoe and the Royal Tenenbaums follow the adult children of affluent families living in New York City. The family's not-so-humble beginnings also goes hand in hand with one of their defining characteristics, the failed prodigy syndrome. The two stories establish their central families as having once consisted of uniquely talented children. In the Tenenbaum family, Richie was a successful tennis player, Margot an award-winning playwright, and Chaz a successful businessman, all of them reaching these heights as children. The Glass family and Franny and Zoe followed a similar trajectory. As children, they appeared on a radio show called A Wise Child, in which they became famous for their intellect. The two families shared very similar interests. They were intensely educated, which helped them reach the levels of success that they reached. The mother of the Tenenbaum clan, Etheline Tenenbaum, even published a book on the process of their education. This leads to both the members of the Tenenbaums and the Glass family never straying too far from literature and books. The family's privileged upbringing brought both Margot Tenenbaum and Franny Glass to the theater.
She was a playwright and won a Braverman grant of $50,000 in the 9th grade.
Ironically, the Tenenbaum, who perhaps shares the most with the Glass family, is more of an unofficial member, Eli Cash. Cash, much like Seymour and Buddy Glass, becomes a writer and English literature professor.
Eli was an assistant professor of English literature at Brooks College.
Both the Glass family and the Tenenbaums, however, are not able to fulfill the potential that they showed as children. They all burn out of their respective fields and reach personal and financial turmoil, which results in them fading from the public eye.
In fact, virtually all memory of the brilliance of the young Tenenbaums had been erased by 2 decades of betrayal, failure, and disaster.
The reason for these two families' descent are essential qualities that are shared between the two families. In Franny and Zoe, it is Franny who undergoes an existential crisis and seeks emotional refuge in her mother's house. Zoe is already living there. In the Royal Tenenbaums, all 3 adult children undergo emotional crises of varying sorts and move back in. Their distressed emotional state lead to some other similarities in their coping mechanisms. Both Zoe and Margot seek refuge by taking long baths, an activity that both mothers take issue with. In one scene in Franny and Zoe, Bessie Glass storms into the bathroom while Zoe is taking a bath and berates him, saying, "I don't know how long you can stay in the tub the way you do. It isn't even healthy. Do you know how long you've been in that tub?" A very similar scene transpires between Etheline Tenenbaum and Margot.
Raleigh says you've been spending 6 hours a day locked in here, watching television and soaking in the tub.
I doubt that.
I don't think that's very healthy, do you? Nor do I think it's very intelligent to keep an electrical gadget on the edge of the bathtub.
I tied it to the radiator.
Well, it can't be very good for your eyes anyway.
The relationship between Wes Anderson and J.D. Salinger is a mutualistic one in my point of view. Salinger is able to offer a humanity to Anderson Anderson's characters that may not have been there otherwise. On the other hand, J.D. Salinger famously was very stingy with allowing film adaptations of his novels. Wes Anderson, taking such clear inspiration from him, offers an interesting compromise. Viewers are finally able to see many of the integral themes that are present in works such as Franny and Zoe and Catcher in the Rye, without betraying the personal wishes of one of our greatest authors.